With Ultron's current abilities, he is not a very good strategist. However, if you play him in a certain way, he could actually be pretty decent. And that potential playstyle is more similar to, say, Psylocke than Luminous Snow or Invisible Woman. Yeah, Ultron plays better as a almost dive hero or an off-angle duelist than he does strategist. I'm going to break down his abilities and showcase why this dive Ultron playstyle could actually really work well. Just hear me out for a second and you'll understand why in a minute. So I'm going to go through this video and explain his abilities, what they do, their pros and cons, and also the best strategies to use to play him. Now, before we start, in my personal opinion, Ultron is far more in the duelist camp than he is in the strategist camp. And you need to try and play him like a duelist, not a strategist. And there's going to be a lot of sort of, how do I put it, pushback from your teammates going into this new season. Everyone is going to see that you take Ultron. They're immediately going to get hostile with you because they want you to take a real support. And then you're going to be in a situation. It's going to take some time for the community to realize Ultron is not a support. He is more of a DPS. He is a strategist, but he's going to be a DPS focused on killing supports and squishies. That is going to be his primary role. So he's going to be alongside another duelist and two other strategists. That's the only way you're going to make him work because his heals are just not good enough. You can't put out enough healing with him, and we'll get into that in a minute. Right, so what I'm going to do first is go through his abilities, their weaknesses and strength, and then explain how you can play him as sort of an off-angle slash diver style duelist, and you can do pretty well with him. Now, just as a sneak peek here, the kind of cool things you can do with him is one-shot squishies with a combo like that. Wow, I wouldn't really call it one-shot, but you can use his maneuverability to get around some of the limitations in his primary attack. So what I'm going to do now is go through all of his abilities step by step and explain where they fit into the current meta. Starting with his primary attack. His primary attack is a very interesting thing because it's a 75 damage charge up and then a 75 damage burst. So 150 damage in total. Trouble is, in between each shot, now let me just turn off ability cooldown. In between each shot, there's a big delay before you can shoot again. What that means is the DPS output of this thing is really lacking compared to pretty much any other character in the game, right? You are not going to be using this to really put much damage on the board when it comes to securing kills or anything like that against tanks. This is a burst of damage, much in the same way most divers have bursts of damage and ability combos to secure kills on the squishies and the backlines. Ultron's abilities are very much the same. They are not going to get you kills against tanks. They are only going to get you kills on squishies, right? Where you do have the potential to burst them, whether or not you're going to be doing damage to a support in the backline, or you're going to be holding an off angle and trying to get them on the side. There's different ways you can approach this, but this ability is certainly made to burst players that are already low on health or create some kind of opportunity to get two attacks off and eliminate them when there's an enemy that's a little bit isolated from their tanks. Now let's move on to the drone. This will provide 50 healing a second to whoever it's on, and then 35 healing a second to anyone in this radius. This is very, it's a nice bit of passive healing, and it's good to put on your tank or your front line, but that's about it. It's going to give your tanks and front line a bit more extra tankiness, but you're not going to be able to be a sole strategist with this. You know, you can't, this is not enough healing. It is just not. Now, one of the drawbacks of this is if you go out of line of sight, you'll see it goes yellow, and if you stay too long here, it will disconnect. Now, there's no cooldown on this ability, and it cannot be destroyed. But basically, you want to turn on the setting here. If you go to here, healing reticle feedback, you want that on because the moment that turns off, it basically means, you know, it's going green now, it's going green now, it's going green now. As soon as that disappears, you know, oh, okay, it's DC'd. I need to just peek over and attach it again. So it's fine that it DCs. Well, it's not. I mean, it would be great if it didn't do this, but we can manage this effect where it disconnects if we break line of sight by just sort of being aware of the fact that as soon as that green healing goes, we just need to look over and tap our tank again. So there is a limit to this. There's a limit to how far you can sort of attach it. As you can see, it's pretty close. Any further and we can't do it. We've got to get closer. So playing like, you know, a dive roll with Ultron, going right into the enemy backlines is not necessarily the best thing to do because we're not going to be able to use this ability in any way whatsoever. Instead, it's better to hold off angles. Let's say this is the bottleneck of the map, right? My front line is here, my tanks, and then you got the front line of the enemy tanks here. My best strategy would be to take an angle like this, right? I'm taking an off angle. Every map has off angles, and I'm the one going like this, doing off angle shots on the supports, trying to secure kills, right? Constantly making sure that my drone is down. And then if I get flanked or anything, then I can use my shift to just quickly dash out of the way and reposition to another off angle. So now I'm like, okay, I'm at a different off angle. Now I'm going to start dealing damage, trying to secure kills on the squishies, the strategists. Once again, making sure that my drone is always down. And spamming my shields as well, like as often as I possibly can. It's got a 10-second cooldown, and it's going to give everyone in the radius of the bot shields, 75 shields, and anyone in the radius of you shields, as well as shields for yourself. So just keep spamming that, and then just keep repositioning to different off angles. That is the playstyle that Ultron is going to be suitable for, because he's basically no good at taking down tanks at the front line. He's no good at sort of trying to stay in the front line because he can't heal his team. You know, he heals his team even if he's over here. There's no point in him even like being there. So he can hold off angles instead and deal burst damage on the supports. That is the main sort of playstyle to me that makes the most sense, because he has the movement to do it, to reposition quickly, to hold different angles. You can get up on a height. You can go around. There's so many different little cheeky angles that he could hold throughout the different maps. And that is definitely going to be the playstyle that's going to make Ultron the most versatile. But that does mean, yes, you're going to need to have 2 strategists on your team. You're going to have to try and convince people that, hey, look, I'm playing DPS Ultron, right? That, honestly, that's just going to have to be the way it is. People are going to begin with, if you try and play Ultron, they're going to think, oh, we've already got one support. We'll just pick one more. And then you're going to be out of heals. You're not going to have enough heals. That's like, it's going to take a little bit of time, like I said, for the community to realize that he's going to be a duelist. He's going to provide the same sort of like value to your team as a flanker, a Psylocke, or a Black Panther or a Spider-Man. That is the thing that's going to do the best for him and your team, because you're not doing consistent damage all the time. You're trying to focus on off angles and get kills, or at least force cooldowns on the strategist abilities, so that you can then try and secure kills, right? This off-angle gameplay for him is where he shines. So far, we've looked at the shield, we've looked at the healing bot, and we've looked at the Encephalo Ray, his main attack. Now I want to take a closer look at the rest of his abilities and how they sort of play into this playstyle as well. So his shift ability, his movement ability, will give him increased movement speed, but as soon as he activates it, he will dash in the direction that he's pressing. So if you press backwards, he'll dash backwards. If you dash right, he'll dash right, and so on and so forth. So you can use that to quickly go into situations where you need to change cover or go into the enemy's line of sight. You basically want to use it to get between cover, right? So when you need to change angles, that is what you want to use it for. It's also useful for when you're getting dived. You know, if there's a Captain America that comes along, or a Magic, or whoever it may be, even like a Punisher or something, who knows, right? You just sort of dash away, and then you use that increased movement speed for 8 seconds to just reposition, lose them, and then come back again and hold angles again. Now, his healing is rubbish for himself. He has no self-healing. So whilst you're constantly keeping sort of off angles and putting down your drone for your team and spamming the shields for them as well, you want to play around health packs, just like you would with a off-angle champ, a dive hero like Psylocke. You always just want to keep playing and rotating around health packs and taking off angles where you're comfortable to be next to a health pack, because you're going to need to rely on those for health, because your supports are just going to be healing everyone else, and you've got no self-healing. Now, if you do come up here, you can stand behind your team and heal and even shoot through them. And I've tried this. I've tried playing like this, and I thought maybe this would be a viable strategy. But in a real game, the truth is, it's not going to work out so well, because you're trying to like stay behind your tanks are trying to move up, and there'll be moments where it's good and it's viable, but it's so much better to just let your tanks hold the front line and just hold off angles and just distract the enemy and secure kills on squishies like this. Thing is, if you shoot anyone other than the supports first, the time between shots is just going to get healed up. All of that damage you've done is just going to get healed up every time there's a break between each bullet, right? This time here, there's healing coming in. There's healing coming in, right? You just don't have enough damage consistently to go for anyone other than the supports to begin with. You may find situations where a duelist is a bit over in a bad position and you can focus them, or if you're fighting another diver, then yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be able to take them. You'll probably 1v1 them. But focus the supports first, because he's great at dealing burst damage to squishies, right? You're going to force their cooldowns off with the off angle. And then once they're eliminated, sure, you can put your attention on the duelists and tanks. Now, we also have the ultimate. The ultimate, to me, is useful for two situations. The first one is you just need to provide heal for your team when things get a little bit difficult. And that's going to be the main use. It's just going to give you more healing. It's 500 healing per second on this small AoE area. It's pretty small, but it's going to give you a lot of healing and keep your whole team alive so long as you're quick and responsive. Only downside, there is 1 second of startup time, so you're going to need to be really reactive when you use this for healing. The second use for it is just to secure kills on supports, right? If there's a support on the backline, you can just basically, you can get a free kill on supports. It's not going to kill a tank, but it will kill a support, right? It will. It just will. It does enough damage to do that, and it's certainly, in most cases, going to secure you a support kill more efficiently than, say, like an Iron Man ult or something. And, you know, because you're going to charge up the ult fairly quickly anyway, you're not going to have much of an issue. The good thing about this drone is if you put it on your tank, right, you got the front line with your tank, and maybe like there's like a couple duelists behind them, like a Hela and a Punisher. Everyone in that radius is going to get healing over time. And whilst that's not enough healing to sustain them, that's going to end up being about 50 to 100 healing per second for the entirety of the game, so long as you make sure you keep placing it down whenever it breaks line of sight for too long. So your healing per minute is actually going to be really, really high. So you're going to get your ult very, very often. So it's okay that the ult's not super powerful because you're going to have it really, really often. So that's another benefit of that. So we've taken a look at most of the abilities here, right? We've taken a look at the attack. We've taken a look at the ultimate, the shield, the drone, the shift ability. We've talked about how his playstyle is best suited for holding off angles and sort of flanking. We're not going too far away from your team, because if you do, then you're not going to, like, we're not going to be able to put the drone out here. Now, there is one combo you can do to sort of get more efficient kills on supports. Now, this is going to be good against any squishies that you find isolated, right? And it's fairly effective. So when you dash forwards, you can then follow it with a melee. And the melee within will hit anyone within 3 meters. So because there's a downtime between the first and second burst of this, or between every burst of the attack, something you can do is attack and then dash forwards. And as you're dashing, melee once you're in range. And it's really easy to hit because it's got a massive, like, 3-meter radius around the target. And then you've got the increased movement speed for a short time to just basically circle around their head and follow it up with another attack. So like we showed in the start of the video, you're basically going like this, shift, and then you can hit the melee and then go like that. So you're doing more consistent damage and sort of diving on the target. And this would be like a bit of a drive-through kill, right? You're maybe holding an off angle. You see that a support is out of position. Let's say you're holding this off angle here. Your team is over there. This guy's out of position. And we're like this. We're like, okay, bam, we go forward, melee, and then shoot from behind, and then we can rotate back to our team and hold another off angle as well. So that's really good. It's also really effective if you've got a dive against you. If a dive character comes towards your backline and you don't like panic too much, shoot them once again and then shift towards them, and then you can sort of just use the increased movement to just circle around their head, go back and forth, because that's going to be really hard for them to track as you're doing that. And that's another effective way. So that's basically, so far, the only combo that I've found with Ultron, but it's fairly effective at securing kills. And you can see the footage here. I know that these are only bots. Unfortunately, everyone got bored of the test build and there weren't any players left, so I couldn't test this on real players. So that's kind of like a little look at my thoughts on Ultron and how to play him in the current meta when he releases tomorrow. I definitely think if you play him as an off-angle duelist, attempting to shut down the squishies, shut down the strategists on the enemy team, you're going to have some pretty good results with him. The hardest part is convincing a team to run this setup. No one's going to want to have it happen. They're going to just laugh at you and say that Ultron's terrible. But if you do get a chance to give it a try, let me know how it goes tomorrow, and let me know if you have any success. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the comments. Cheerio.